Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
About 8 years ago, I was leaning over in the back seat, buckling my daughter into her car seat. I got a strange feeling like something was behind me, so I got up to look, and that's when I see a large man approaching me very quickly, arms outreached as if he was going to grab me. My first instinct was to say, "Stop or I'll shoot." He hesitated. That gave me enough time to jump in my car and speed away as fast as I could. I didn't have a gun on me. I don't know what made him not call my bluff, but that saved my life. That day, I went home and registered for my concealed weapons license class, and I've been carrying a firearm ever since. I never want to put myself in a position where I need a firearm and I don't have it ever again. I'd rather have and not need than need and not have. And I'd just like to note it's not carrying a firearm, it's also being efficient with it, so make sure you practice if you can.
So the year is 2015, and I am walking back from Lollapalooza to the train station. I realize at some point in time that there are these guys across the street, and they keep kind of yelling at me and like saying things, but I just kind of ignored them. At some point in time, I realized that they're walking parallel to me. And after the fourth or fifth time I look over at them, I realize that they're not there anymore. So I do a 360 just to make sure that I'm not completely alone, and I wasn't, because they were about a block behind me. I get into the train station, and like a beacon of God, these two girls are coming down the escalator. They're about my age, and they look totally normal. And I run up to one of them, and I'm like, "Oh my God, Jessica, I haven't seen you since soccer camp." I don't know a Jessica that went to soccer camp, do you? And these girls went along with it. They picked right up on it. This was 2015. This was before we started to have some of these conversations, and they went right with me. The two guys turned around and they left the train station, and those girls may have saved my life.
So a couple of years ago, I decided to go to a party with my friends, and it was bring your own drink, so we had to leave the party briefly in order to walk to the liquor store that was on the corner. And as we're walking out of the party, I noticed a group of about 5 or 6 guys following us, and these guys were beyond inebriated, so they start talking to us, asking us where we're going, what we're doing, why we're leaving the party so soon, can they come with us? And so we try to tell them, no, we're just getting drinks, we'll be back, but for the life of me, they would not believe anything we said. They insisted on following us, despite us trying to get them to go back to the party. Things escalated, and one of the guys ended up touching me, and I don't know what it was, but immediately after he touched me, I felt nauseous. I felt awful. At that point, I stopped my friends in their tracks, and all I say is, we need to go back to the party now. So my friend turns around and tells them, "You know what, we're gonna go back to the party. Frankly, you guys are making us uncomfortable." We take 3 steps in the opposite direction, and one of the guys punches a dent in the neighbor's garage.
I'm walking my dog. It's the end of the day. The sun's starting to set, and it's business as usual. When all of a sudden the hairs on my back stand up, and this sort of sixth sense tells me to watch out for the gray van on the road. Now, I've never had a back gut feeling this strong about something before, so naturally I zero in on that van and start drawing a mental map in my mind of all the establishments nearby or all the places susceptible to have people. Because as I mentioned, it's sunset at this point. I'm walking down a pretty deserted road, and even though I have a dog, I'm still a lone woman with no particular defense skills. So I'm thinking of all of that and also calculating the fastest way to go home. I'm simultaneously also physically trying to appear unbothered, more menacing in my posture, and also trying to pretend I haven't noticed the car drive by 2 times at this point. So I'm starting to freak out because I don't have no more time for part 2. Okay, you guys asked and I'm here to deliver, so here's part 2 of my creepy van story. So as I was saying, I'm starting to freak out at this point because I'm thinking to myself, okay, the first time the guy came around, he could have been lost. The second time could be a coincidence, but the third time, I sure as hell am not standing around and finding out. I start walking a little bit faster and turn onto a street that I know generally has people, but as luck would have it, there's nobody. And at this point, I'm starting to sweat bullets, and I'm trying to keep my mind from not going all over the place because the van has just now pulled up right beside me. The guy rolls his window down, whips out what appears to be a phone, and starts recording me. Now, I don't know what in the taken is going on here, but my survival instincts flare up and start screaming, "Not today." So I snap out of my scared daze, call my boyfriend, send my location, tell him to stay on the phone and meet me halfway because I'm about to Usain Bolt all the way home. And I'm sorry this is taking so long, but for part 3. Okay, so here's the last part of the creepy van story, and I'm gonna try to be quick because I don't want to keep on dragging this out. So at this point, I'm in a full-blown panic because the guy still appears to be recording me, and on top of that, he's trying to park his car near me. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice a family coming out of the park a bit further up, and I figure, okay, I've got two options. Either I scream my head off and scare the guy off, or two, I catch up to their family and pretend I know them. In the moment, I choose option two because I've got my dog, and I don't know if the guy has a knife or any other object he could use to silence me if ever I scream, and I know that may seem paranoid, but I'd rather be paranoid than dead. So I rush up to the family and just start making random conversation, and bless their hearts, they were so confused, but after some mingling, I bolt home, and thank goodness my boyfriend catches up to me and we start heading home together. I mean, we still hurried home because I don't want that van guy knowing where I live, and you never know what'll happen, you know? Yeah, anyways, I'm sorry if this may seem a little bit anticlimactic, but I honestly thought I was gonna get kidnapped, and I hate the fact that now I get scared whenever I see a van. I mean, could have done more in that situation, sure, but it's not up to me, is it? Some men go their whole lives not knowing the fear that can arise through the act of simply walking. Meanwhile, I'm now always on alert, and I'm scared to walk my dog at night.
Okay, so the story is kind of scary, but like a good lesson that it doesn't matter where you are, if you are a girl, you are always in danger. So I live in Orlando, and a couple years ago, me and some girlfriends went to one of the bars at Disney Springs after a party. It was pretty late. It was like maybe like 10 or 11 p.m. And we were just, you know, like enjoying our night. But we noticed this guy sitting in the bar, and he was just like sitting next to a very full glass of beer for like 2 hours straight. So we were like, red flag, red flag. He's been sitting there next to this beer, not drinking it at all. He also kept like walking past our table, even though we were nowhere near the bathroom or the exit or anything. We definitely thought this was sketch, so we told our waitress, shout out to Erin, who saved my life that night. Anyway, yeah, they snuck us out the back of the restaurant, and then he chased us into a bathroom, and the police had to come get us at Disney. I'll make a story time if anyone cares.
So I'm an Instacart shopper, and that's where people place their groceries online, and I basically go and I shop it for them and I deliver it to their house. I never really thought of it as dangerous until this one night. So I was delivering to a lady, and she wrote in the instructions to meet me at the door, and usually they just say to leave it at the door. So I walk up to her, I immediately get bad vibes from her. She has long, tangly, gray hair. She's wearing a nightgown. She looks like a witch, basically. And I was like, So I hand the bags to her, and she's like, oh, actually, do you think you could go up those stairs and go in that door on the right and just set them in there? It was like an old, creepy apartment complex type of thing, and her husband was standing up there at the top of the stairs. Immediately in my head, I was like, oh my god, I'm about to get kidnapped. So I was like, oh, I actually don't think I'm supposed to. And she goes, no, yeah, you are. I just gave them to her. I ran to my car. I was shaking and crying because I literally almost got kidnapped.
When I was in 3rd grade, I had a really old babysitter, and one day he forgot to pick me up from the bus stop after school. At first, I kind of waited, but I didn't act like I was scared until I saw that somebody was watching me and then was starting to walk towards me. Something in me just told me I shouldn't wait for my babysitter, so I just proceeded to walk the way that I would, if I wasn't with my babysitter, to get back to their apartment. Being that I am a terrified 9-year-old, I keep looking back, and as I'm looking back, I see that the dude is still behind me, still very much following me. And I swear he was walking faster. Anyway, I get to the top of the hill that leads to my babysitter's apartment, and I see this couple, and I don't know, just something in me just said, cry, girl, cry. I started crying. I ran to them and I hugged them. I said, this man is following me. And I remember them looking at the man looking at them, and just taking off. Please trust your intuition.
Almost got abducted twice in Turkey. I'm going to talk about the second attempt. There were last minute changes before our flight, so we had to go across town. My sister and I had to catch a bus in the middle of the night. We had a huge black suitcase that was too heavy for us to carry, and the wheels were actually broken. On the bus, I sat across from a man who was mirroring every movement I was making. When I went up to the bus driver, this man literally did this. My sister and I were freaking out, and we knew something was going to happen to us as soon as we got off the bus. We didn't speak the same language. No one spoke English on the bus. In a panic, my sister and I were saying, "Hada bihki Suri, Shan Allah, hada يساعدنا, hada Arabi." Thank goodness there was a Syrian refugee on the bus, and he told us what's up, how can I help? And we told him the whole story. He went up to the guy and he was like, why are you bothering them? These are my sisters. He got off the bus stop with us, carried a heavy suitcase on his back, and walked with us for 15 minutes.